Hello, a very warm welcome to the Virtual Singapore Sustainability Academy, also known as the SSA. I am Miak from CDL, and I'm your host for this session. Today's event, Storytime at My Treehouse, features Mr. Lim Sieu, one of NLB's most experienced librarians and outstanding storytellers. Before we begin, let me do a quick introduction. My Treehouse is the world's first green library for kids located in the National Library building. Specially designed to cultivate children's love for environmental conservation, My Treehouse has over 72,000 book titles, with more than 30% of them focused on green topics. My Treehouse has also organized over 400 eco-programs since its opening in 2013. If you have yet to visit My Treehouse, do check it out with your kids after the circuit breaker. We are also holding a virtual eco-storytelling contest in celebration of World Environment Day. It is open to children from the ages of 3 to 12. They can take part as individuals or with family members. The top prizes are worth $600 each. Do note that the submission deadline is 24th May, which means that you still have about a week to send in your entries. Please visit our website as shown in the orange box to find out more. To help everyone create interesting and winning entries for the storytelling contest, today we have the special privilege hearing from Sieu on the secrets of telling a good story. Now, without further ado, let me call upon Sieu to share with us how we can all be better storytellers.
Hi everyone, I'm Sieu. I've been a librarian with the National Library Board for the past 10 years, and I've always enjoyed storytelling to groups of children, be it as small as like maybe 10 or to as large as several hundred. Let me share with you some of the things I've learned about storytelling. Right, first, so why storytelling? It's of course a great bonding activity. If you've always wondered, what you can do as a family on weekends, well, storytelling is one of the things you can embark on. Every book is a new adventure. You can sail around the world or go on a hunting trip through the forest. The sky's the limit. And of course, you can talk about the wonderful adventures you've had in the books, and through this way, you learn more about each other's preferences and bond together. And of course, books also help expose your child to new words that they may not encounter during normal daily conversation or television. A lot of times, books carry more newer words that they don't see usually. For example, like the enormous stone, or that the thunder is roaring in the skies. These are words we don't use normally, but they will encounter this in books and learn how to use them. And through exposure to different books, they learn how to tell stories in different and exciting ways as well. And it also sparks creativity and imagination. Let me show you a few examples. For example, in the drawings, we have this book. First of all, Poco and the Drum by Matthew Forsyth. And this book, you can see the drawings are made from watercolor and color pencils. And all these things, right? You can see the frog is drawn with a lot of straight lines and regular shapes, like diamond shapes, triangles, and even circles. So that's one way you can do drawing, by having very proper straight lines, regular shapes. Another way you can do it is shown as an example from this book. This is the Starry Giraffe, drawn by Andy Bergman. So the giraffe here is drawn digitally on a computer. So you can see that the giraffe is drawn by using irregular blocks of the same color, and they layer them on top of each other to form the giraffe. So that's another way you can draw. There are many different ways you can express yourself. Finally, we also have this one, Go to Sleep Gecko. This one was illustrated by Geraldo Valerio, and you can see here the whole gecko is drawn using fluid curved lines, and it makes the gecko come alive. It's wonderful. It's not only that, different ways of drawing. You can also add creative details. A lot of books have creative details in the drawing. For instance, we have this We have this elephant standing among fireflies, and if you look closely, you'll see that the fireflies have actual light bulbs attached to their body. Yeah. So you can always get creative when expressing yourself, and that's one of the ways picture books can inspire our children. Storytelling is, of course, also a life skill. I encourage everyone to not only storytell to children using books, but go through your life, highlight those moments where you've overcome great difficulty, when you face a problem and you overcame it, or you learn an important lesson through even through some mistakes, and you can use them to as sharing with your children, or even with friends, or even during your work moments to convey a certain message. And so, storytelling can be part of your daily life and a very important part as well. So, with that, what are some of the ways that you can be a better storyteller? I'm always asked that by teachers and also parents, and the first thing I'll always say is to make it fun. Everyone looks for fun. No one goes out and say, what is the boring thing I can do today? Can you introduce me to some normal books? Everyone wants a fun book. Everyone wants an exciting story. So the best thing we can do is to make it fun and exciting. Be relaxed about it. Instead of saying, this is our regular story time. We have 10 minutes. Let's finish this book in 10 minutes. At the end of it, I will give you a quiz. And if you pass the quiz, I will give you this plush toy. If not, nothing for you. Too bad. Well, let's be relaxed. Make it fun. A lot of the benefits of storytelling only come when it's done as leisure and fun activity. So let's not take it too seriously. This is one area where the tiger mom or tiger dad approach wouldn't work. The next thing is always be dramatic. Yes, do it as if you are aiming for an Oscar or an Academy Award winning performance. If you've always felt you've missed your calling, then now's your chance. Right? Be dramatic. What do I mean by being dramatic? Well, by being dramatic, I mean that you need to pay attention to the way you use your voice, your expression, your language, instead of saying, and Cinderella was very happy to attend the ball. You might want to do, and Cinderella was so happy and excited to attend the ball. She was looking forward to all the music and all the dancing and maybe even all the delicious food as well. So you can vary your voice, your expression, and body language. And of course, another way is to use props. What do I mean by props? Do I mean using puppets? Well, yes, you can use puppets, for example. You can get lots of puppets from places like children's stores. I think some of these were gotten from IKEA. Not an endorsement, of course, just saying. So besides using puppets, you can also, you make your own buying puppets. You can make your own using socks, or you can just fold using a hanky. For example, for this one, a hand towel. You can just put it, tuck one end through between your thumb and index finger, and tuck another end between your little finger and ring finger. So from that on, you have, if the ears were longer, this would be a rabbit. So then you can do, hello, I'm very happy. So when you are using puppets like this, of course, you need to be dramatic too. Instead of saying, I'm happy, you might say, I'm happy, yay! Right? To convey the proper emotion. So besides using these puppets, there are other things you can do too. You can use live props. For instance, in this book that I showed you just now, The Starry Giraffe, the starry giraffe gives out apples to hungry animals. And so what you can do is prepare a container full of apples. And you can have your child give apples out during the story, act it out by giving it to either pretend animals or give it to plush toys. You can change the animals if you like, because in a lot of stories, sometimes which animals it actually is isn't that crucial. So you can always tailor the story to your needs. Besides using live toys such as this, you can also use instruments. For instance, we have Poco and the Drum, where this frog actually goes into the forest and plays the drum, attracting other animals who have their own instruments. So if you're up for it, if you dare, You might prepare your own little drum. In this case, I'm using a Tupperware, and you can just go, and you can act out the story. Each time Poco plays his drum, you can play yours too. And things like this, you don't have to just use it as a drum. You can use it as different things, like to create sound effects, knocking on a door. You can use it as a galloping animal, right? So the sky's the limit. You can even, there are lots of things that you can use lying around the house, even a little cup like this. You can use it to pretend to be a giant. Instead of saying fee, fi, fo, fum, you say fee, fi, fo, fum, where the cup actually magnifies the sound that you have, and you can be a pretend giant. So besides using props, what are some of the things you can do then? During story time, you can also use activities. You don't have to dedicate an entire 10, 20, 15 minutes to a story. You can add activities such as songs or crafts. An example of crafts, while we were on the topic of puppets, would be something like this. This is something I made from a paper bag. It's a snake or a lizard, if you like. And you can have Bo talking like this, right? You can also make little finger puppets such as this. This one is actually the finger of a glove. I've drawn or stuck a piece of paper on one of the fingers and use wires to act as the hands. Right. So you can have, from one little glove, you can have 5 finger puppets. Oops. All right. There are other ways, simpler ways. You can draw book characters on little pieces of paper. And here I've clipped it with a pen. You can use ice cream sticks or even, well, any stick you have lying around at home for this. If you're up to it, you can even make dioramas. Dioramas is when we use a platform, for example, a corkboard or the lid of a shoebox, and then you can create a scene from the book. For example, if it's Little Red Riding Hood, I might use a milk carton to do a house, grandma's house. I might put little trees in the middle, and I put a little figurine of Little Red Riding Hood, and I might draw a little wolf hiding behind one of the trees, and then I'll make an entire scene for Little Red Riding Hood. So with all this, you can make crafts together and have a fun time. It will, well, you won't know when the time passes so fast, and you can, of course, fill the stories with songs. In the libraries, what we like to do is start it with a hello song, end it with a goodbye song. So hence your story time is always very, very predictable, and, well, it's very assuring to children as well. You can find lots of songs from the simple ones such as Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars and Incy Wincy Little Spiders to more advanced ones with very advanced finger movements for children everywhere on the internet. So I won't extend your time with that. With this, let's go on to a demonstration of how you can do storytelling with just using your voice, right? So one of the ways that you can do storytelling, which you can use to enter the Eco Storytelling Contest, would be to read it like I do. I will tell you about other ways you can do so later on. So this story is Go to Sleep Gecko, retold by Margaret Reed MacDonald, with special thanks given to Mr. Steve Lloyd from August House for permission to use this book. I want to read the whole thing. You can find more demonstration of storytellings on our public library's Facebook page. There are lots of digital storytellings on there that you can refer to. But let's go on with this story. One day, Elephant was awakened. Oh, he heard a loud noise right under his window. Gecko, gecko, gecko. Gecko, what are you doing here? It is the middle of the night. Go home and go to bed. I can't sleep, said Gecko. The fireflies are flitting all around my house. They're blinking their lights on and off, on and off. You've got to make them stop. You're the village boss. Do something about it. I'll talk to the fireflies in the morning. Now go home and go to bed. Gecko dragged himself grumpily home. Gecko, Gecko, Gecko. Next morning, Elephant called the fireflies. Is it true that you have been flashing your lights on and off all night long? Have you been keeping Gecko awake? Oh, yes, said the fireflies. We have to blink our lights on and off all night. Buffalo leaves his poop all over the road. Without our lights, someone would step in the mess. Why, that is very thoughtful of you, said Elephant. Just keep on doing what you've been doing. You can go home now. So the fireflies went home. That night at midnight, Elephant was awakened again. Gecko, Gecko, Gecko. Elephant leaned out his window. Gecko, go home and go to bed. I can't sleep. The fireflies are still blinking their lights on and off, on and off. You said you'll make them stop. Gecko, the fireflies need to blink their lights. Buffalo leaves poop in the road. Without their lights, someone might step in it. Then talk to Buffalo. You're the village boss. Do something about it. In the morning, Elephant called Buffalo. Buffalo, is it true you have been dropping poop all over the road? Oh yes, rain washes holes in the road every afternoon. If I just fill them up the best way I know how. If I didn't do that, someone could stumble in the holes and get hurt. That is very thoughtful of you, Buffalo. Just keep on doing what you have been doing. You can go home now. So Buffalo went home. And so the story continues from there. Each time Gecko complains that the fireflies are still blinking their lights on and off, keeping him awake, Elephant finds out that there is a further reason to it. The fireflies flash their lights so that people won't step in the poop in the road. And Buffalo leaves poop in the road to fill up the holes that rain washes out so that people won't fall in it. And rain washes out holes in the road because she knows that she needs a lot of water in order for there to be insects. And why do there need to be insects? Well, because Gecko needs to eat insects, otherwise he would starve. And so we find out that the reason why there are fireflies flashing their lights on and off around Gecko is so that Gecko will have food to eat. And this is how we find out from this story that the world in nature is all connected. Even some of the things that we find troubling might in the end be for our own good. So with this, that's the one style of storytelling you can adopt when you enter the contest, the eco storytelling contest. You can choose to do it in other ways, like using props or with a book, or even just telling it and dramatizing it out. That's entirely up to you. But I do encourage everyone to be enthusiastic and to send in all your videos. Now, about the contest, out of 100 points, we have 40 points are for your performance. This is where you really need to be drama papa, drama mama, and be very, very dramatic about it. 40 points out of 100. The next 20 points out of 100 goes to your choice of the story. For example, if you choose this, how related is it to environment? Now, you don't have to choose physical books. If you have physical books lying around that are eco-themed, that's great. If not, it's fine. You can also use non-fiction books. For example, books that tell you or information that you find online about how something comes to be. For example, paper, how paper comes from a tree to the factory to the stationery store and finally to your own home, and why we should save paper, because trees take a long time to grow and nature is very precious. So you can share factual tales like this, you can share stories like this, or you can even make up your own stories. For example, instead of having Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you can have Snow White and the Seven Environmentally Friendly Dwarfs. How Snow White learns to be environmentally friendly through her experience with the dwarfs. You can change existing stories. You can even tell true stories that happen to you and your family members. Uh, for example, something that happened to you that made you realize that, oh, how important it is to conserve the planet that we live on. So from this, well, your choice of stories, it takes 20 marks. Now, the final 40 marks comes from your aspirations. By aspirations, I don't mean your aspirations about, I want to be a Hollywood movie star. Not those kind of aspirations, but your aspirations about conserving our planet. From the story, from your life experience that you're sharing, do let us know how you aspire to save our planet, be it by recycling more, by never using animal products that are not for food related, avoid any kind of hunting, anything that you do to conserve our planet, to recycle more. And this message that you give, the guideline we give is for about 1 minute. You can vary a bit here and there, that's fine. But remember that it carries 40 marks. So be genuine, be sincere, and be enthusiastic about it. All right. So with that, that's all the tips I have for storytelling and both the contests. Let's see if you have any questions. The top voted question is, how can we gain and maintain the interest of children who might not necessarily have the best attention span? By Shirley. All right. That is an excellent question. The truth is, attention span is not something everyone has, even for adults. When I was studying psychology, one of the things that I learned was that even for the average adult, the sustained attention span is about 15 to 20 minutes. And by that, I mean that after 15 to 20 minutes, you need a short break or you need to change to another activity. So similarly for children, right, you need to keep it to anything if they are very, very young, anything from a few minutes to slowly building it up over the years, over months to maybe a 10-minute, 15 minutes. But attention span aside, the most important thing, again, my favorite answer to all questions is it needs to be fun. Have you ever seen a child or anyone lost interest midway through eating ice cream? Never. Because ice cream, unless you're lactose intolerant, eating ice cream is such a rewarding experience. So, one way to sustain the interest of children is to, keep it as exciting as you can. And then after that, vary the length of it to fit their attention span. But another important thing you want to do is start them young. Reading is not a one-off activity that you do. It's like eating, brushing your teeth. You want to do it regularly in order to reap the rewards, the many rewards of reading for leisure. It only comes when you do it regularly, and best done as a family activity. So start them young. When they are babies, there's no way that they will crawl away from you. You literally have a captive audience. So it's great to do that. Start them young and, if necessary, start them short. It's better to be regular and have short sessions than to do it once a year and have like hour-long sessions. Do you always recommend reading different types of stories to children or reread something a few times for cognitive development? By June. Wow. This is the first time I've seen cognitive development in a Q&A on a webinar. All right, awesome. So I'm afraid, again, it's like a nutrition question. There is no one answer to it. For example, we are all encouraged to eat a variety of foods of different natural colors in order to get the widest range of nutrition as possible. Yet at the same time, all of us all have a favorite food that we want to eat. Similarly for children, at a young age, it's great to expose them to different types of stories, different types of the way different authors use language and the different words they use. Yet at the same time, every child will have a favorite story or a favorite author. So as storytellers, our role is always to balance this. To balance it, you can all, because a story time doesn't only need to be one story, it can be, well, a few. So you can balance it by reading a variety of books and yet always repeating a few over time for that assurance and predictability. So I think from that you can get the best of both worlds. Of course, this only applies if you do regular storytelling with your kids. And please do regular storytelling with children. The benefits are amazing. It's an exciting activity and they will love books and more importantly, love you for it. So the next one is, how do you address questions posed by a group of children? For example, you can't take all the questions due to time constraint, plus some of the questions might not be linked to the story. How to divert their attention back to the story? By Nor. That is a very awesome question. I'm guessing that perhaps you're a preschool teacher or a teacher. When it comes to connecting with children, a whole group of them, the best policy for me is to be straight talking, direct, and respect. So I will always tell children that, that is a very good question, but I need to answer this one first because it seems more related to the story. Or I can say like, oh, that is a great question. Can I answer it for you later on after the storytelling? Right. So you may not have time during the constraint of the story, but you can still address their concerns, any concerns they might have after the story. I can tell you that half the time, well, actually more than half the time, 90% of the time, when I tell them that if this question is very important to you, let me answer it later on after the storytelling. 90% of the time, they don't come up. A minute later, they've forgotten about the question. A lot of times, children ask questions because they like the interaction. So long as you interact with them, that is the main point. You do not have to answer every question out there. A lot of times, if there's a lot of questions and I don't want to break the flow of the story, I'll even tell them, that's wonderful. All of you are paying attention and that's why you have so many questions. Well, it's all right. Let's continue the story first, right? I think something exciting is going to happen. And then I move on with the story rather than dwell on all the individual questions, right? I have colleagues who do it a different way. I have colleagues who are more disciplined in storytelling. What they do is that they have question and answer times. Before the storytelling, they actually set ground rules as to say, if you have questions, you need to raise your hand first if I point to you, and then we'll only do this at certain points of the story during question and answer time. So she will pause during certain parts of the story to take questions. So that is one way you can do it. That's a very strict way, in my opinion, but it's also effective if that is the style you like. But otherwise, you can just be frank with children. They really don't expect you to drop everything and answer their question and stop the story there, right? A lot of them are very understanding. Actually, all of them, most of them actually. And the next question is, in this digital era, how do we as parents cultivate a love for reading amongst our children from an early age? By Natalie. Yes, it is a digital era. I actually don't see a problem there. I suppose it's a problem if we're talking about screen time, competition from screen time. So let me start by screen time, I mean like internet, videos, television, anything that uses the electronic screen, I suppose. So research, as far as it goes for screen time for young children, it's not good. It's not good for them. Young children, especially those for up to the ages of 2, 3, or even 4, they learn language or they develop primarily through human face-to-face interaction. So the American Academy of Pediatrics, right, when they make their recommendations for screen time for babies, anything up to 18 months, no screen time at all. And if you must, use video chatting. That means like it's still a human at the end, at the other side of the screen. And then for anything from 18 to 24 months, if you must, use high quality programs or apps. And very short lengths of time, and you must always view it with them. By viewing it with them, I don't mean like just sit there, okay, we're done, let's move on to something else. You discuss it with them. So there's always this human interaction. And then anything from 2 years onwards, right? Limit it to 1 hour, 1 hour, 2 to 5, limit it to 1 hour. And again, if possible, view it with them and discuss. So there's always this human element, if you must. But in an ideal world, for very young children, it would be no screen time or minimal, because that's not their best mode of learning. However, beyond preschool, and in the later stages of preschools, a lot of screen time videos on educational ones have actually been found to be beneficial. It's just that the younger the child, the less beneficial, or even some harm may come from using a predominance of it. So again, cultivating a love of reading during this is always to start young. If your child is now 20 years old, that ship might have sailed a bit. But if your child is still quite young, in preschool, start young. Do it, make it regular. Because having a book can help you, can be a platform for you to interact much and expose them to language that otherwise they would not encounter. So start young, minimize screen time. You really must minimize screen time. It's good for them. And 3, well, if you really must have screen time, choose digital books. They are screen after all. A lot of times, children might associate the joy to the device itself. So if you use the device for reading, well, half the harm is mediated, I suppose. So remember, minimize screen time, start young, be regular, and, well, if you really must, watch it with them and use the device to read. All right, storytelling is one of the most enjoyable, effective techniques to teach language to my children. When I read or tell stories, what is your advice to immerse them in rich language in their mother tongue? What is a good balance to ratio between English language and the child's mother tongue? All right, so there's been a lot of research on using mother tongue and English language. I do not want to assume what your mother tongue is, but a lot depends. A lot of times, what a lot of my parents I encounter do is to have one parent, they assign a language to one parent. And so the parent will predominantly speak English, the other parent might speak in mother tongue. And so the child is able to be immersed in it through different parents, of course. In the span of a lesson, however, what the research generally shows is that it's great to teach the child in both the English language, so-called, and the mother tongue together if they are not similar. If they are not similar and the lessons are side by side, the child benefits from it because, yeah, they can look at the whole thing, form new connections between the languages. Like, for example, this is an apple. In Chinese, it's 苹果. So from the same object, the child forms new connections about, oh, what names can be assigned to this. But if your both languages sound the same, like if Hokkien, this is 苹果, and in Chinese it's 苹果, they sound alike. So in this case, it's not a good idea to have all of this together. It will cause confusion in the child. So when you talk about having a good balanced ratio of it, it really depends on how similar the language is to each other. And a lot of it also comes from how much time you can devote. But in children, a lot of learning comes from repetition and fun. What is novel to them? So if you can, one of the ways is not so much balancing between the different languages, but trying to make them as attractive as possible and novel. For example, you can sing, instead of A for apple, you can sing A for apple, 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 chom, chom, chom. You can make up your own song. So, 苹果, 苹果, 苹果果果, 苹果, yum, yum, yum. Something like this. So for non-Chinese speaking friends out there, I'm sorry for that, but that's one of the ways you can make language attractive in different modes. Okay, let's make this the last question. How do we convey stories that involve death to young children so as not to traumatize them? Absolutely nice question. My answer is, as a storyteller, as a librarian, as a preschool teacher, do not go there. There are topics we generally do not touch: adoption, death of a human, and sometimes even death of an animal. Sometimes we don't touch. There are sensitive topics we do not touch, because these are topics that we would like to leave for parents to discuss on a one-on-one basis with them. If you are a parent, how can you use stories to convey? Well, I wouldn't say that stories are always the best platform. They are a springboard. These are very complicated topics with a lot of different contexts. So stories can be a great springboard to it, but always the gist of all these discussion comes from your interaction with your child. So there's no way you can just pick up a book about death, tell it to your child, and oh yay, because it's a wonderful book, everything is fine. Nope, it doesn't happen that way. You need to talk with your child about this, because they will draw relationships like between the story. Oh, this person died. Does that mean that, one day you will too? I've had kids ask about that, all from the death of a goldfish, I think, in a story. And she shared about, my grandfather also died. So children will sometimes draw associations to unexpected things. And before we intentionally tackle these topics, we need to be sure that we have the time and the sensitivity to answer these and give them the treatment they deserve. Because, well, they are important topics. Death is traumatizing even to adults, let alone to kids. For kids, right, the younger they are, the harder it is for them to separate between what's the imagined and what is reality. So a lot of times, exposing them to death in a story can be very traumatizing as well. What we normally do is you want to ease them into topics like maybe just start with the loss of a soft toy, how a toy got broken, and then how a pet was, like how a pet went missing. So you ease them in topics like this. Yeah, but frankly, I've not met any parent who felt an urgent need to talk to death about their children. These are things that a lot of times they will come to think of it naturally through as they grow older. But I salute all parents who want to educate their kids about sensitive topics. It's a brave and, well, I guess meaningful endeavor. Just do it slowly and gently. And with that, that will be the last question. Thank you all of you for coming back. For attending this program with me. I hope you learned quite a bit about storytelling. I enjoyed doing it. Let me hand the floor over back to Mia.
Hello, thank you once again, Siu Pin. I'm sure that your tips and secrets will come in useful for all the enthusiastic young friends out there. So to find out how to enter our storytelling contest and see the amazing prizes that you can win, please visit our website as shown in the orange box on the slide. And other than Storytime at My Tree House, we also have 2 more exciting virtual workshops lined up this month. They are Circular Food Economies on 22nd May and Keep Mending and So On 28th May. If you are interested or have questions, please email nglim@cdl.com.sg. So, thank you all of you for joining us today. We will post a recording of today's event on our webpage and social media pages. Stay safe, keep well, and have a great weekend.